And hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we work in Adobe Edition. And one of the things that you're going to be doing is you're going to do a 60-second radio ad. And what I'm going to do is do something similar to that. What I'm actually going to show you is how you incorporate music and adjust volume levels for music when you are putting something together. This actually will help you with future assignments that you'll be doing here in audio production too, because I'm going to show you how to use the volume level and to be able to do that. So, and this works for this assignment and also for your radio concert promo. So with a radio concert promo that you're going to do, the 60-second radio concert, it's probably best that you go ahead and have all of the cuts that you want to use in that radio concert already pre-picked and put the music files already on the desktop. And actually what I'll do is I'll show you an example of how I've put together a mock radio concert promo, something very similar to what you're going to be doing. And I will actually show you how to put this together. So that will be coming later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you here real fast how I put together a 60-second radio billboard. Now, let me go ahead and set this up for you. What I do every week is a show for Arkansas State University. It's actually for KASU. It's called A-State Connections. It does preview some of the things that go on here at Arkansas State University. And what I'll do to start things off is I already have a music bed that I use for A-State Connections. There's a music bed right there. And then also what I do is I have usually an open that I've already pre-recorded because I had to do some editing on that. I'll put this into Adobe Edition as well. And then what I'll need to do is I'll need to actually merge these together. And I'll do that in the multi-track editor. The one thing I want to remind you about the waveform editor, this is what the waveform is, okay? There's a big difference between waveform and multi-track. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do this as a JR's test session. If you go into multi-track mode, it's going to ask you to do this because ultimately what it's going to do, and I want to actually save this to the desktop, not to documents. So I just actually want to put that into desktop. Okay. All right. Okay. So for multi-track mode, you can use several tracks. You can put, your different individual files into these tracks to be able to edit them. The big difference is when you're in the waveform file, okay, and you're looking at individual specific files. Like for example, right now I'm looking at 6119 open needs music. This is just, for me, this is me talking, and I don't actually have any music behind this. It's just me basically talking. And this is what that sounds like. This is A-State Connections. I'm Jonathan Reeves, connecting you with Arkansas State University. So what this is going to do, this is going to go across for about a good 60 seconds. And what this particular opening billboard will do is it kind of gives you a little bit of an open to what the specific show is. And let me go ahead and play this for you. Now, I know that this is the waveform file because this matches this. This says 6119 open needs music. That will match this. When I want to take a look at what the actual opening billboard music will be, the music bed for this, that I'm going to merge here in a second. Once again, I'll know this is the same because it shows here and it also shows here. Let me play for you this open, which is 60 seconds. And the big difference here, if I make any edits here, okay, if I take anything out here in the waveform, it's destructive in that unless if I make a mistake and I don't want to take anything out, I can actually undo. So for example, if I want to take this part out and delete, then I realize, oh crap, I didn't really want to do that. I can delete. I can undelete the audio and I can get it back. Okay. But if you actually save any changes, if I was to do that, and then if I was to go in here and actually hit save as or save, and then realize, crap, I made a mistake and I didn't want to do that, well, then you basically have lost that, okay? When you're in multi-track form and you're working in multi-track mode, if you move stuff around, if you adjust the volume levels, as I'm going to show you here in a little bit, you don't really lose anything. You know, you're just dealing with the actual session, the multi-track session itself. You're not really editing the individual files. So that's the key difference. So when you're multi-track mode, if you adjust the volumes and things, you're actually adjusting the volume of the session, not the files themselves. The waveform is where you actually make the adjustments to the actual files, and this is destructive once you save it. Okay, so please keep that in mind. But let me go ahead and once again and play this for you. This is going to be the 60-second ad, or actually the 60-second. It's just under 60 seconds actually. Opening billboard without music. This is A-State Connections. I'm Jonathan Reeves, connecting you with Arkansas State University. In this hour, the first in a 4-part series of interviews featuring Dr. Ruth Hawkins.
It would be a great way to tie in needs of the community with programs of the university. You know, like our biology students could study the fauna and flora of the ridge, and you know, we could look at the archaeology of the ridge, and we could look at the historic aspects of the ridge. I just saw a lot of opportunities there, not only to serve as an educational laboratory for our students, but to meet some needs in the community.
The ASU Museum has a lot to offer for kids this summer, and a program called Bearcats in Biotech will be featured in this week's Created State segment and podcast. All this and more in this edition of A-State Connections on KASU, which starts after NPR News. Okay, so we know this is 56 seconds, and just a little over 56, but it's about 56 seconds. And that's what's going to play. Now, we have actually 60 seconds to fill. So I have about 3 seconds or so that I need to put in by way of music. And that's really where this 60-second music bed is going to come from. So this 60-second music bed is actually going to be, it's going to be just like this, like me talking over this music bed. That's what I'm going to need for this particular pre-recorded needs music that I just had. So let me go ahead and let me show you how we're going to merge this. So let's go to multi-track mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ASU show opening billboard, which as we said is 60 seconds. That's the actual music right there. This is the show that needs, this is the, actually, no, I'm sorry. This is the music here. Oh, well, let's see, hold on. This is what actually needs the music, excuse me. There we go. So we have the opening billboard, which is 60 seconds, and we have the open that actually needs music. So what we can do is we can zoom out and we can see that we have, if we were to start everything right here at exactly 0 seconds, okay, what we notice is that we're going to have about 3 or 4 seconds at the end to kill. What we can do actually is we can center this up just a little bit. I'm going to actually move this over just a little bit. And once again, this is the actual recording of me talking with the soundbite, with the Dr. Ruth Hawkins soundbite. And I'm going to move that over just a little bit. So we're going to have music that will start. I'll drop the music. I'll drop the volume down and be able to have this play under the music and then bring the volume up. And how you move this around is you can take your mouse and you can actually drag this around. You can take the left button to the mouse and you can kind of move it around a little bit. You can move it to where you need to. And then up here you can click. Now let me show you where the volume controls are. This line right here is your volume control. Okay, this starts off at just around 0. Okay. What you can do is you can actually set edit points, and they'll come up as little diamonds. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. You can go over here, you can set this up, and when you click on that volume line, you see there's a diamond that's there. You can actually drag the volume down as far as you want to go. Here, I will probably do this at right about 22, I believe. Yeah, 21.7. Just to see when I play this, if the music and my dialogue are mixed correctly. Because the one thing I don't want is I don't want the music to drown me out. And at the same token, I don't want to be so loud and overpowering that people can't hear the music. So there's got to be a good mix. So this is what I don't want to have happen. This is A-State Connections. I'm Jonathan Reeves, connecting you with Arkansas State University. So the music is so loud that you cannot hear anything that I'm saying. You just can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop the volume down. I'm going to drop this down to about 27. Now, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to just do a steady drop like that. I want to actually have a little bit of a fade. This is the reason why, because you want to have a little bit of a gradual fade of the music down when you start talking, or it sounds like this. This is A-State Connections, and that doesn't sound professional. It's better if you're actually able to move it over just a little bit. You'll see there's a little bit of a slanted line right here. That serves as your fade. You can actually fade the music down this way in a slow fade to be able to allow it to sound a little bit more natural like this. This is A-State Connections. I'm Jonathan Reeves, connecting you with Arkansas State University. In this hour, the first in a 4-part series of interviews featuring Dr. Ruth Hawkins.
It would be a great way to tie in needs of the community with programs of the university.
All right, so that sounds pretty good. And what I'm going to do is at the end, I'm going to bring this volume back up because we've reduced it down to about 22, 23 negative. We want to go ahead and bring this back up at the very end. And so what we'll do is we'll put another edit point here, another diamond on that line, and then we'll just bring this up to 0. Where we started before, and just kind of move that out a little bit. Once again, in a fade line. Okay, so we'll move this over just a little bit. Okay, so how this will be is when we play this, we'll have something that will sound really good. Let me go ahead and move this back over here. Let's go ahead and play this for the 60 seconds. You can hear how the music is as I kind of move this around. And then what I'm going to show you is how you can actually drop the music out if you wanted to. But let me go ahead and just play this for you here real fast. This is A-State Connections. I'm Jonathan Reeves, connecting you with Arkansas State University. In this hour, the first in a 4-part series of interviews featuring Dr. Ruth Hawkins.
It would be a great way to tie in needs of the community with programs of the university. You know, like our biology students could study the fauna and flora of the ridge, and we could look at the archaeology of the ridge, and we could look at the historic aspects of the ridge. I just saw a lot of opportunities there, not only to serve as an educational laboratory for our students, but to meet some needs in the community.
The AC Museum has a lot to offer for kids this summer, and a program called Bearcats and Biotech will be featured in this week's Created State segment and podcast. All this and more in this edition of A-State Connections on KASU, which starts after NPR News. And so that sounds really good. Now we can go ahead and just stop that. And then I can actually bring this all the way to the front here. So that's how we would do that. And so what I'll do is if I want to keep that, I can actually save this as a mixdown. And you go into mixdown session to a new file. So what you're going to actually do in the multitrack mode is you're going to take the entire session. If you want to make sure that you want to include everything into this that you just did, you can mix this down, entire session, And when you do that, this is the mix down. It becomes the JR's test session mix down, and this is what you just created. And so if you want to do that and save that as a mix down, you can then save as JR's test session mix down. Make sure it's in the desktop, okay. And then you're good to go at that point. And then it pops up, and then you're able to run that. So, and it's right here, actually. This is the JR's test session mix down. And then you can just listen to that. Well, we'll bring this up here. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and bring this back up here. Okay, here we go. This is A-State Connections. I'm Jonathan Reeves, connecting you with Arkansas State University. Okay, so that is how you create a 60-second one. Now, let's go back to this session real fast. If you want to drop the volume all the way down, let's just say that you wanted to do that. Let's say that you wanted to move this over just a little bit and you actually want to drop the volume out. There's a couple ways of doing that. One, you could set something to just drop all the way down like this, and then the volume is totally off. Let's go and listen to this, because if you take that all the way to the bottom, it drops it out. After NPR News. And see, there you go. You can just drop it out at that point. And with music, what you can do is you can have separate music files themselves, right? And you can adjust the volume. You can fade the volume up. You can bring the volume down. Very simply, you can just throw it in multi-track mode, and you're able to do that. And for your concert promo, you'll want to do that. You'll want to record each track separately, and then throw each track in multi-track mode on Adobe Audition. And then you can adjust your volume, and you can very simply fade in, fade out, because that's what that is. That was a fade out. If you wanted to fade your music in, for example, if you wanted to do that, there's a way that you can do that. This is going to be a music fade in, just for example. This is A-State Connections. I'm Jonathan Reeves, connecting you with... So you heard how the music faded in, so you can either fade in or you can fade out the music, depending on what it is that you want to do. So we'll talk a little bit more about that particular part of editing as we go along, get a little closer to the concert promo. I'll show you about how to do that coming up in another video. But if you have any questions, get in touch with me, please. jreeves at astate.edu. That's JREAVES at astate.edu.